Hello, everybody. How are you? It's Wednesday's update, and I want to touch base with you on lots of things that are going on here, kind of a potpourri of items. And we'll just hit on them. Let's go. All right. I think it's funny. I've talked to you about the Independent Commission Redistricting Committee. I think that they are screwing up royally, especially when it comes to the House districts. They're crossing over county lines like never before. The new 102, or what arguably could be considered the 101 now, would be parts of 6 different counties, but no whole of any one. And they've taken some criticism for that. So much so that I think it's kind of funny. A couple of Democratic lawmakers are staging a rally outside the TCF Center where this group is meeting to complain and say, you've got to fix this. And one of the big gripes is that there's a discussion that says, hey, wait a minute, the Voter Rights Act of the 60s said that there needs to be majority minority districts. Well, this group has drawn up Detroit and Wayne County, so that really isn't the case. And there's a thought that it's very possible that the city of Detroit in its entirety would not be represented by anybody who lives in Detroit. So that's an interesting conundrum. Well, that has set the howls and the hoots from the Democratic side of the aisle, which I think is kind of interesting because they're one of the big groups that were like, oh yeah, we got to do this because the Republicans are terrible and they gerrymander districts. You got to remember this, the redistricting is kind of a political process, and you've got to understand communities of interest and whatnot. So though no system is ever perfect, the Constitution set it up so state legislators did this business until the people of Michigan voted to put this independent commission in. And as I've said, they're equal opportunity screw-ups, and they are doing just that. Now, here's the interesting part. The group that pushed this initiative a couple of years ago, Voters Not Politicians, is now asking this group to rethink and redraw their maps. And I have to agree with them. These maps, especially in the House districts across the state, are just dumb. They make no sense. And I know there'll be that's just because you're a stinking politician, Jack. No, it's because I'm a citizen of Michigan and I want what's best. And these maps are stupid. And to give you an idea, there's 110 districts, right? 110 districts in the state of Michigan. And when they were done, they realized, and usually the 110th is up in the far west of the UP, right? One's down here, 110's up here. They realized that they forgot to put a number on one. So the 109 is now, according to the current maps, the 109 up here is where the 110 normally is. And the 110 is down here in Oakland County where they forgot to put a number on a district. I know it's a little thing, but it just shows the lack of detail and understanding of what they're doing. So be on the lookout. You can comment by going to michigan.gov/MICRC. And I would advise you to do it because these maps are a mess and they got to get it right. This is one that makes a ton of sense. Representative John DeMoose. Again, when it comes to election integrity, we're working on a lot of bills that make sense, that fix and bring our laws up to snuff with Proposal 3 from a couple of years ago, which allowed for no excuse absentee and same-day registration, right? Well, John DeMoose, and one of the issues we had, especially at the TCF Center, but in a few other districts, is our poll watchers and poll challengers, which are from the Republican and Democratic parties, are in there, and maybe the people who work in the polls don't know who you are, but you're a poll watcher, you have a right to be there. He's got a simple bill that basically says if you are certified, which you have to be a poll challenger, you need to wear a tag that says challenger. So that when that person in the precinct who is running the election looks up, they don't just think you're some Yahoo who showed up causing trouble. You have a badge or some type of clearly identified that says you are who you are. Not necessarily Jack O'Malley challenger, but challenger. And then you'd have to be certified, that yes, you get this. Jack, you're a challenger, here it is. And the clerks would provide that to the rightful poll challengers and watchers. So I think that's a simple bill that makes a ton of sense to eliminate some of those issues that were from a couple of years ago. Also, this is a bill that makes a ton of sense to me too. It would prohibit the sending of unsolicited absentee voter ballot applications unless it came from a clerk, city or township clerk, county clerk, but only on request. You can't send them unsolicited. If you remember, Secretary Benson, she sowed the seeds of mistrust by sending out millions of unsolicited applications to people who'd been dead forever or whatever. And now people are saying, how can this be fair if all of a sudden I can just send in an application request and they don't know who I am? Well, there are some checks and balances there, but the point is it sowed the seed of mistrust. This bill would say, no, you can't do it. It can only be sent out if it's requested and by the local clerks, not the Secretary of State. I think that's a good bill. All right, another bill that's out there, a couple of them. It would provide a tax deduction for student opportunity scholarships. And what this would do is, if you are an individual or business, you could donate, no public funds, you could donate into this fund and get a tax credit. And then that money would be given out by way of grants to parents and families that could use it. I use this example. My son played the bari saxophone. Thing's expensive as heck. And the reeds, I learned, were the most expensive reeds for woodwinds that are out there, like $50 a pack. Well, luckily, and he liked it, so we got him a tutor. Luckily, we were able to afford the tutor. We were able to afford the reeds, even though I begrudgingly bought them when I had to. Point is, what happens if it's a family with a child, they don't not have the ability to pay like that, be able to do that, but they have a talented child who wants to learn this instrument, and the reeds are so expensive? Well, they'd be able to apply for these grants and get some help. Now, what's wrong with that? Well, the Democrats, that's taking money from our school system. No, it is private donations, right? And they are getting a little tax credit for doing this. So obviously I can't go into all the details, but that's basically what it boils down to. 20 some other states are doing this already, and so on and so forth. So it just makes a ton of sense. I like them, I voted for them, and I hope they pass through. And again, especially coming out of COVID, where our schools were shut down and kids needed tutoring, or maybe there's a situation where you can pay for a little extra schooling or something if a child is wanting to learn a trade, or they can go do something. Let's help our parents help our kids, because that's one of the things I've always said. I hear all the time, especially from the Democrats, well, it's all about the kids, it's all about the kids, and it's always give them more money, give them more money. Michigan spends a ton of money on schools, but our educational outcomes are, maybe this is a way to help that by giving the parents some flexibility in how they want to help their child. So I like the bills. Be on the lookout. There's going to be more controversy, and I'm sure a veto from the governor. All right, the coalition of businesses in Michigan are coming out against the president's vaccine mandate. And basically, all the chambers of commerce are saying this is crazy, this is not good, please reconsider this. Now, the other thing is, I understand, I don't think it's happened yet. Biden's talked about this 100 employee rule, but it hasn't taken effect yet because the Department of Labor has to come up with rules. And until those rules are in place, nothing can happen. So it hasn't happened yet. The Department of Labor is working on those rules, and I'm told as soon as those rules are implemented, there will be lawsuits galore. But know that our chambers are pushing back on that. Representative Bo LaFave of Iron Mountain is got a bill that would require all conservation officers, DNR officers, wear a body cam. I think this makes some sense for their protection and a citizen's protection. In many cases, a conservation officer is out in the middle of nowhere, and they're on their own, and it's something can happen, and it's a he said, she said kind of a thing. And there's no proof, right? There's only squirrels and skunks around there to be witnesses. This body cam would offer some proof. So I know the DNR is pushing back on it. They think, well, if you're going to make us wear them, we should have a law that says every police officer should wear them. I don't disagree. I wish every police department could afford them, but I think the DNR, this makes sense. So just thought I'd let you know that bill is being discussed as well. And if you've heard of a thing called the National Popular Vote, basically what they want to do is they want to say that the winner of the presidential popular vote would get all of that state's electoral college. So, candidate A wins Michigan, they would get our 13, 14, whatever it is, electoral votes. Under the national popular vote, they'd say, no. Whoever wins the popular vote across the country would just get Michigan's electoral votes, regardless of what the people of Michigan voted. I'm against that. I think that's terrible. If they can get, I think it's 15 or 16 states with the right amount of electoral votes to agree to this pact, it would make it the truth, because now they've got enough to get to the electoral maximum or minimum. So this is a letter I signed on. 17 out of the 20 Republicans in the Senate, 40 out of the 57 Republicans in the House signed on a letter saying we are against the national popular vote. So that's another discussion that's out there, and I just wanted you to know where we stand. So we're at about that 10-minute mark. A lot going on. If you have an issue, you need some help with something, our staff might be small in numbers, but we're big on effort. So please give us a call, drop us an email. All my contact information is at repo'Malley.com, repo'Malley.com, and you'll get our phone number, email, all that good stuff. All right. So if you're in the district and you need some help or some clarification on something, we deal with those kinds of questions all the time. So feel free to do it. All right. I'm out of here. Enjoy the fall colors, this beautiful weather. Hopefully this weekend will be nice so that we can get out and enjoy. But until then, until next week, take care and thank you very much.